Blueprint. I started out by talking about a sales blueprint and what it actually is. It starts with climbing personal, literary, and figurative summits. Salespeople do too. It all starts with setting your goals, setting your blueprint. And a business that I started working with just recently, after a couple of days, it became very apparent to me. The business owner, Steve, was really frustrated with his sales team, like tearing his hair out, frustrated. His team was really frustrated with Steve, like tearing their hair out, frustrated. And it was apparent to me what the issue was. And I said to them all on a group call, I said, Steve, so you've got the completed version of the Millennium Falcon in your mind, haven't you? The Lego version. You know where you want to go, and your team knows that's where you want to go. Am I right? Yes. Team, am I right? Yes. Great. I said, the only problem you have, team, Steve, is that your team has all the Lego pieces for the Millennium Falcon on the desk, and you haven't even given them the instruction manual of how to build it. This is the problem when we have revenue numbers at the start of our sales process. If we have revenue numbers at the start of our sales process and we say to the team, go do it, they've got no way of knowing how to do it. You've given them a destination. We haven't given them any waypoints along the way. We haven't said to them the first way to get from Melbourne to Adelaide is get to Deer Creek. Then you want to stop at Bacchus Marsh. Then you go to Ballarat. All these waypoints along the way, right? And what business owners we tend to do, and one of my clients was about to do it yesterday, was about to hire someone on the basis that they know what they're doing. Not while you're working with me, you're not. We're going to put some process around this. That is sales Armageddon. We need to lead our team. It starts with understanding the numbers and chunking them down. So what does it look like? This is a real life example of a business that I've been working with. This guy is a 4-wheel drive outfitter. And last financial, this data is now a year old. But he said to me in the 23-24 financial year, this is my metric for success, Martin, 5.5 million. I said, great, how'd you get that? Well, I took what I did last year and I added 10%. And this happens, right? People are going to take a number and you're going to add 10%. You might add cost of living. You might go, you know what? This number feels good. That's our new metric. I want to introduce you to Pareto. We all know Pareto's theory. 80% of your sales come from 20% of your clients, and so forth and so forth. I work with clients and I start chunking them down. We do it at the summit. I do it when I'm working with people one-on-one. I do it in the Olympian program. Let's start chunking things down. This is a classic example of one of my current Olympian clients. He dragged this information out at the end of this financial year. He said to me, Marty, 67% of my clients generate 13% of my business. Can anyone see the issue with that? That's a major problem because he's got a whole shitload of clients spending stuff all. Whereas 33% of his clients generate 86, nearly 90% of all of his business. Guess where he should be focusing his cadence? Not on the little guys, because you guys would all know is that the people who are small, they maybe don't have the cash. They're the ones that want the most, that are the biggest consumers of, I was going to be incorrect, biggest consumers of your time. They don't want to pay, and they're the ones that clog our revenue stream, right? Let's go for the larger businesses, 80-20. Now, how can you chunk down your revenue number? It's easier than what you might think. You might chunk it down based on client type, based on category, by product, by market, by division, by state. There are many different ways you can chunk down your revenue number. In this business, if I'm chunking my market down, I'm chunking it down by my products. The Olympian intensive, the Olympian program, the accelerator, and the fast track. Or I might chunk it down by client type. Sales teams of 10 or more, sales teams of 2 to 9, small to medium enterprises, or startups. I could chunk this business down by any one of those to help me develop a cadence of activity. Back when I had an equipment business, so I had an 8-figure equipment business, I would either chunk it down by product type, Zeus, Athena, you could tell I was into the God theme. I could chunk it down by market, hire and rental, tree care, golf and turf, glass and glazing, earth moving. Or towards the end, as I had some really big clients, I would actually budget per client by Coates, by Kennards, by Access Group. I would actually go to my client and say, hey, Coates, this year I'm planning on selling you $7 million worth of product. How are we going to make this happen together? I'd actually involved them in my budgeting process. And then they were part of it. By golly, it worked phenomenally well because then they're part of my budgeting process. They've committed to me selling them more stuff and giving me ideas about how I could do that, right? Now, it wasn't as simple as that. The products had to perform. I spent a lot of time working with their teams, blah, blah, blah. But that's the type of thing you can do. So how would you chunk yours down? Now, in the example of Aaron decided, you know what, I'm going to chunk my business down by expenditure, and I'm going to allocate names. VIP builds, they spend 50,000 plus. Big builds, 30 to 50. Tier 1s, 2s and 3s. That's how he came up with it. I'd suggest everyone here does this if you're not doing it. And then I said to Aaron, great, how many clients do you think realistically you can work with this coming year in each of those categories? And this is what he came up with: 26, 50, 100, 250, 250. Now, the tier 1, 2s and 3s, by the way, they were more the clients that came in for consumables over the internet, bull bars, antennas, roof racks, eskies, stuff like that that you hold off a 4-wheel drive, right? That type of thing, roof racks. So those, but it was the tier 1 big builds and VIP builds we really wanted to work on. And guess what? When we added all that up, it was no longer 5.5 million. It was 7.6 million. Up a lot. Now, like a lot of business owners, he went straight to his sphincter tightened considerably. I don't know how the heck I'm supposed to do that. But when he looked at the numbers, he started going, you know what? But based on the numbers and based on the capacity and based on my team, I can do that. So just by chunking it down that way, he's now got a sales number, a revenue number of 7.6 million that particular year. Now, I'm going to show you what we did next, because that's step 1. We're still in the destination mode, but we're now in a destination mode by product.